At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
about your movie, why I made the curators pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart, you're doing it yourself. Crazy.
Observations TFR, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Welcome to another great episode of #ObservationsTFR. How are you doing this Friday morning? Can you believe that another full week, the third week of January, has passed us by? The third full week of January 2021 has passed us by, and we are headed into going towards the last week in January 2021 into February. Can you believe this time? Can you believe how the time is moving right along, right? Moving right along. So people, look, before we get into the topic, make sure you smash the share button, smash the like button, let people on, because it is Friday and they are trying to clip us. And we're talking about symbolic gestures, right? Symbolic gestures. So before we get started, I'm going to introduce you to my special guest host, my sister Tanya M. Congress. How you doing this morning?
I am, it's getting, we have the standard answers. I mean, of course, I'm here, I'm alive and well, so I'm okay in that regard. But truthfully, every day, I'm not going to say worry. I don't worry, but I'm perplexed by what I see. The things that I see, it's one thing to know that things were going to occur before they occurred, and it's another thing to actually see those things play out. So that's tended to be my that's how I've been for the last couple of months now. And so every day I'm thinking, we have to think in lines of survival, where you're still being able to live your life and have happiness and have your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness are inalienable rights, while looking at something that's stark raving mad. So knowing how to keep yourself out of it, above it, not being affected by it, and just being observant. So that's something that we have to do. You have a certain cognizance that's different than before, where you have to be aware of things that may not have been so pressing before. But I'm doing overall, throughout all of that, I'm doing okay. Ready to do a robust show this morning. How about you? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing as well as can be expected. It is freaking Friday on Observations TFR. #ObservationsTFR on the Spot Podcast. #You found the spot, right? Smash the share button, smash the like button. We are simulcasting on Periscope, Vimeo, FB, right? And on YouTube, right? Make sure that you like, share, follow, subscribe where you're watching us right now. Let your people know that we are on, because we are taking it somewhere today. But what's the topic? The phone lines are open, and we will be taking phone calls after the first hour. I think I have to make that specific, because we have a lot to get through before we start to take calls. So the phone line is 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. Once you listen to the prompts, if you want to talk, you press 1 on the touch tone, and we will know that you want to talk. But we're going to take phone calls in the next hour, right? Freaking Friday. Symbolic. Huh? What happened?
I'm not seeing your invite link for Facebook or the spot page.
It's there. You
I'm
got to
not
go
seeing it running
to.
live.
You got to go to consciousness, politics, entertainment, and females page.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's right. And
Okay.
so it's Freakin' Friday, Symbolic Gestures, Observations, episode 82. It's a Friday, so you know what time it is. It's Freakin' Friday, Observations TFR, where we take a look at the crazy happenings in the week in review. Topic: we take a look at the week that was, the third full week of January 2021, as we round home to the last week of January to February 2021. Who are the winners and who are the losers so far? And what is Biden's criminal justice reform executive order? What is in Biden's criminal justice reform executive order? Is he reversing everything else? He's reversing everything else, Trump. Is he reversing time served release? Will we see some American black men and women freed from prison returned? What about Lil Wayne and Harry O's pardons? Would you reject it from the so-called quote-unquote racists? The phone lines are open. 213-943-3358, right? 213-943-3358. We're going to be taking phone calls in the next hour because we have a lot to get to. We want to say what's up to everyone who is watching us on the various sites. So let's get to some memes. Let's get started. Let's get it kicking. Let's get it underway. First, we want to say our condolences to family and friends of Hank Aaron, the once home run king who overtook Babe Ruth's record, right? He's passed on at the age of 86. So what's interesting about Hank Aaron? What is interesting about Hank Aaron's passing? You know, usually athletes, they're healthy, because they play. They may have like injuries, they might have knee or they might have some arthritis, but pretty much their heart muscle though is pretty strong. It's pretty strong. And most of the greatest generation and the civil rights generation live up in age, right? So Hank Aaron, they said he didn't die of COVID. He did not die of COVID. But earlier, a few months earlier, because it couldn't have been earlier in the year because we just started the year. So what, a couple of weeks ago, he and civil rights leaders reported by Yahoo Sports. What's going on to Francis? I see that you're chimed in. Chris Holla. Francis Chris Holla. I want to say what's up to you. By Yahoo Sports reporting he and civil rights leaders earlier this year, which means a couple of weeks ago, because this is January. We're only third week into the third weekend. Went and got his shot. He got the experimental agent. He got the experimental agent shot, right? He got the shot. Then, now, he dies. So, it just seems just a little strange. It's just a little strange that he got the shot and then now he's passed on. I mean, it's just weird. I mean, I'm just looking at it. It just seems strange. Hank Aaron dead at 86 after a couple of weeks ago getting the vaccination. Okay. And other celebrity news. Smash the share button, smash the like button. Other celebrity news. Unfortunately, Dave Chappelle has tested positive for COVID-19. Cancels Texas shows. Dave Chappelle tests positive for COVID-19. Cancels Texas shows. Now, this virus is telling people, you know what? Sit your ass down. That's what it's telling you. That's what it's saying. It's saying you're not going to be able to do, no matter how much protection you actually do, you're not going to be able to actually defend against it because there's too many irresponsibles. There's too many accelerationists out there rubbing on things and spitting on things and spray bottling different things, right? With their saliva. So you're not going to be able to, do what you would do if everybody was responsible. Not to mention the people who are irresponsible. Do you know Biden signed an executive order to say that all people on federal lands would have to wear masks. Now he signed that before the 8 p.m. program about inauguration around the world, right? And he was in the halls of the U.S. Congress speaking with no mask on. And the people are like, this is like pure hypocrisy because none of his family members had masks on either. But he had just signed legislation. Now, had that been Trumpy, the media would have been all up in a frenzy and a tizzy. We're going to get to his press secretary because she's already lied. She already lied already. All right, we're going to show you how. Okay. So what's been the rage all over the internet is Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has been all the rage, because he was sitting up there like the crypt keeper with his mask on, and he had his mittens, and he had his legs crossed at the inaugural, minding his own business. He had a seat that was sat all by its lonely, and he was enjoying himself in his solitude watching the proceedings. So people have photoshopped. It used to be superimposed. That used to be the word for it. But they have photoshopped him in various different situations. Some compromising. Others just ordinary. And we're going to show you some now. So here's one that I thought was pretty good. This Photoshop job was pretty good. He puts him in the middle of a photo studio. I thought this one was pretty good. It's nothing offensive about it. It's just, mundane to coin a word, to state a word. Okay. Here's one that I thought was creative too. Right. Around Janet Jackson. Everyone remembers that Janet Jackson. Remember, that was before we actually saw her boob thanks to Justin Timberlake. So it was all a mystery. It's no longer a mystery anymore. So the person who put this meme up said, "Y'all are annoying. Bernie just minding his business in his mittens. Why are y'all like this?" Laughing face with tears coming from it. Okay. So I thought that one was pretty good. You know, that was pretty good. You don't have to go through some of these. Now, here's one that's pop culture, Ice Cube pop culture in particular. This is from Friday, and you know that's Smokey. And then the Smokey character says, "Damn, the pink mink was good, right, Burn? The pink mink was good, right, Burn?" It was Smoking. I'm going to get you high, Burn, because you ain't got nothing else to do. It's a Friday. You ain't got nothing else to do, so I'm going to get you high. Let's move on to the next meme with Burn in it. Okay. I have to say this. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Dig if you will the picture
Oh, Lord.
of you and I engaged in a kiss. Your sweat and body covers me. Can you, my darling, can you picture this?
Oh, my God.
Picture us in a courtyard.
These people are on one.
The roses and violets in bloom. Animals strike curious poses. They feel the heat between me and you. Bernie and Prince in the tub together. How about that? All right, Bernie and Prince in the tub together. Yeah, thought that was pretty good. Now, this particular program has to be the safest place. Matter of fact, Bernie as a Caucasian might be safer on this program than any place else in the world, because he might have been safer than the black male characters on the show. Do you remember on this show when there was a rape that happened in the back alley, and the main guy and the rapist runs, and then the main black male character that was a help to all of the women in this program comes and tries to help the woman up. She's in shock. She takes a 2x4, beats him senseless. You don't know what happens. Next thing you know, they cut to an ambulatory service. And next thing you know, you don't know what ever happened to the guy. And that's when I stopped watching Oprah Winfrey programming. Because I said Oprah Winfrey has something against black men. And I stopped watching her programming, her television, her talk show, for sure. Because this happened, and then there was a series called The Women of Brewster Place. And the character was never talked about again. He was never, but you know, this is the safest place for Bernie, because a 2x4 would not smack him like it smacked the black male character. The older black male character that was a help to all the women. It was just not explained. It was kind of like in the Mac, when the Mac everybody should have seen the Mac now, so this won't be a spoiler, mistakenly killed Pretty Tony. And it was never discussed that it was actually the white folks that had done something to his mom, and it wasn't Pretty Tony, and it just was never discussed. And he rode off in the sunset back on the bus. He came in broke, he rode out broke. But he rode out into the sunset. But anyway, the Mac. Even the burlesque organizations have gotten the act. Even
That
the
is
burlesque,
too funny.
they have Bernie sitting right there taking in the burlesque show from the 1950s. Yeah, everyone is taking part in putting Bernie into photographs, right? So now that we got through that was, a little comic relief here. Okay, so now time to get back to the business at hand. Kaya Notes, right? At Kaya Notes, replying to Kamala Harris. I don't see anything in the 100-day plan for black people referring to police brutality. Please help me understand what exactly you plan to do at Kamala Harris. Replying to Kamala Harris, we'd like to know what you're going to do because, you see, Kia Notes has Sandra Bland as the avatar, and we all know what happened to Sandra Bland. All right, let's move on. Dr. Boyce Watkins. Politics makes strange bedfellows. Okay, Dr. Boyce Watkins. We don't talk about Kamala Harris to our girls, not because we hate her, but because politicians are not black leaders. Thank you, Boyce Watkins. This is very important. This is very important because people have conflated Obama. So you'll see Nelson Mandela, you'll see Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and then at the top in a photo, you'll see Barack Obama. Remember, Madiba did not become a politician until the end of his run. Before that, he was in the streets. He was an activist, right? So, conflating and putting these black politicians in as if they are leaders is wrong. And we not only do we have that problem that some of us do and put people on a pedestal, some of us in the American blacks do that, but we also have the problem of race hustlers, and we talked about that yesterday. Let's continue on. Instead, we talk about hashtag black women who love black men, raise black children, and start black-owned businesses. Instead, we talk about hashtag black women who love black men, raise black children, and start black-owned businesses. They are the backbone of our community. Now, did you notice because this is the recap, did you notice, were you watching the inaugural? Did you, the guy Eugene, we're going to have a meme up with him later, he was supposed to be escorting Kamala Harris, Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to that. Smash the share button, smash the like button. We'll get to that when we come up on that meme. Okay. All right. So here we go. Just a little distraction, something from the ice cream truck. Did you know that the ice cream truck, it's just wow. You kind of find out when you're listening to the Niggas Love Watermelon song. That's the song that's on the ice cream trucks. Wow. I mean, it's just, and then the kids go running. It's just running towards the truck. It's just amazing. And did you ever notice that most of the time when you would run, it would be white men in the truck selling the ice cream to you? And they're playing Niggas Love Eating Watermelon song. Some things that are just, you know, the ice cream song, you know, when you heard the ice cream song, that's called Niggas Love Eating Watermelon. You can hear it on YouTube. Anyway, pick 3 favorites. You can only pick 3 favorites, right? So pick 3 favorites. That's just the icy, like an icy type cup thing, you know. But in the time that you enjoy this fare of, I will call it snack or junk food, what will be your 3 favorite items of this list? You can only pick 3. You can go by number.
Okay, number 12, number 4, and number 5.
Because that is so close. I mean, that's almost the same as mine. It's a chocolate fetish. I could switch 5 for 1. Because for some reason the chocolate chips on the top of the chocolate chip cookies with the ice cream seem to taste so much more chocolatey, yeah, over that vanilla ice cream. So yeah, for me, 4, 12, 5, or 1, but I would probably go with 1, 4, and 12, right? Because you could go to the store and get ice cream sandwiches. Now you can go to the store and pretty much pick up all of this fare. But back then,
Yep.
ice cream sandwiches were in the stores, but all the rest of it really wasn't. So it was a treat when you could run to the ice cream truck, unbeknownst to you, where the white man is playing Niggas Love Eating Watermelon, selling ice cream, laughing to himself as he's selling you the ice cream. Your parents not knowing either, right? Uh-oh. Tracy Latrice, what's going on in the steward? Elsie, I see you watching. Tracy Latrice says 12, 5, and 1. 12, 5, and 1. Okay, all right. Next meme. Speaking of food, you're not hungry. You're bored. Shut the damn door. You're not hungry. You're bored. Shut the damn door. That's interesting. You have to leave a note to yourself sometimes, especially during this bubble in the COVID. Sometimes you have to leave a note to yourself. I thought that was clever.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this one comes from DJ Chill, right? And this meme states, MFers in Cleveland always saying it's boring. Shit, y'all killed everybody. MFers in Cleveland always saying it's boring. Shit, you killed everybody. I mean, all the live people gone. They're gone. They're 6 feet deep. They're all dead. Yeah, thanks. You know, life of the party is boring. Yeah, you killed everybody. Shit. I mean, talking about it's boring. All right. So, here's Eugene, right? Eugene Goodman. That's interesting. He has a Jewish name. He's an American black man. with a Jewish last name. It's interesting. It's just interesting how things go, right? Now, did you watch the inaugural? Did you watch it? He was supposed to be escorting Kamala Harris. I'm being nice. I'm pronouncing her name. He was supposed to be escorting Kamala Harris, and somehow it never seemed like they ever spoke to one another. Like it was never a scene where they said, "How you doing?" You know, and she said, "Thank you for your service." You know, none of that. You know, Eugene Goodman is the police officer that led the crazed mob away from the senators and the Congress people, the senators and the House of Representatives, by running them up the steps away from the secret hiding place in the U.S. Capitol. And he ran and he radioed, and his fellow cops met them at the top and told them they had to leave, right? He's the one who did that, Eugene Goodman. Now, did you watch? Because his eyebrows looked a little arched. They looked arched just a little bit. Did you notice? Not saying anything. Let me bring the picture up as big as I can, and then you can see. It looks like his eyebrows are just a little arched. They're arched.
Oh wow!
You know, he was Covatus cut, and his eyebrows were arched. Right? I mean, hey, you know, male grooming, metrosexual. Hey, you know. All right. So the person who shared this article from The Hill, said #no to symbolism. No to symbolism. The Hill article caption reads, Capitol Police Officer Eugene Goodman escorts Kamala Harris to inauguration. Now, it never really seemed like he was escorting her because they were never really in close proximity. She was way back there being walked by her husband. He comes down the steps and he stands to the left. Now, Kamala's husband was to the left, but facing, if they were coming down the steps, it would be his vantage point right to see the dude, right? Kamala Harris was to the left of her husband, right? From their vantage point, walking down the steps, their POV. And from our vantage point, you know, she was to the right, but on their vantage point, she was on the left side, he was on the right side. Dude stood to the left, but he was on the right hand of Kamala's husband. As they walk down the steps, there's a couple of things going on. There's a dynamic going on. Either dude as her husband is jealous of black men. Oh, that could never be though, right? But either that or Kamala purposely knows how to ghost a person while standing right in front of the person or walking right past the person. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Just a couple of examples that I saw that it happened to American blacks. This guy, Eugene Goodman, he's standing there. The husband walks down with Kamala. Kamala never looks in his direction to give him a nod to say thank you for the escort. She purposely looks left. It was a snub. I don't know why she was snubbing this dude, but she snubbed him. Now, later, Joe Biden, he walks down, he gets out of the vehicle, and you know, Al Roker on NBC, the weatherman, originally from Cleveland, Ohio, his whole thing every year is to get the president-elect or possibly the vice president to come on over and shake hands and say a few words. So Joseph R. Biden, when he was vice president, came over, and then as president he came over. So it was time Kamala's turn. Now I don't know, maybe it's because Kamala was in those hills and those dogs was barking. And I'm going to tell you why I know that this is a snub. I'm going to tell you why I know it's a snub. As they're walking, you hear Al Roker. Al Roker's vocals carry. He says, Kamala, you come over. The husband looks over and then looks back straight. He doesn't look at Kamala and say anything. Kamala knows that she hears him. Everyone who watches, who has aspirations to be president or vice president, has watched year after year after year, and they know that Al Roker does this every 4 years to the president and the vice president, and they usually come over. Even a Republican president, I think it was, did Bush come over? I'm not sure. But anyway, she purposefully, again, he's on the right side. His wife her husband is on the right side. She's on the left. She purposefully acts as if she does not hear Al Roker. Everyone knows Al Roker does this every year. She could have just turned over so graciously and gave air kisses. Now, how do we know that it was a snub and she was doing that? Because when it came to Al Roker's producer, you see, Biden went over to Al Roker, and then a little bit further down was Al Roker's white producer. When it came to the white producer, Kamala's face was already faced that way, and she was like, hi. She didn't walk over, but she said hi to him. Right? So we keep moving down the line. Now, Biden, he sees the mayor of D.C., not Washington, D.C., but of D.C. He runs over there and says, thank you for all that you've done, you know, letting the Antifa run wild, Black Lives Matter, Antifa masking themselves as Black Lives Matter, burning out buildings. Thank you for all you've done. And then he runs back and gets back in. Kamala comes down. The husband sees that Kamala is actually looking left, waving or whatever she's doing. And the husband sees the mayor like he saw Al Roker. He tells her, there goes the mayor of D.C. She turns around and gives the mayor of D.C. air kisses. So either the husband has a problem with black men, or Kamala is one of them special type bitches that knows how to ghost a person while standing there. Because she gave air kisses. He made sure Al Roker was seen as insignificant. Eugene Goodman was seen as insignificant. What's going on to Miss Ash? She says, hello, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Husband waved to Al. Okay, Tracy Latrice says, husband waved at Al. I didn't see that, but I'll take it. Mary Wilson is watching. He still did not give her heads up so she would turn around and look and say something to him, give him air kisses, right? So there's a problem. There is a problem there, which leads back to no to symbolism. Hashtag no to symbolism. That should be the black people's hashtag that voted for this. That should be their hashtag. So let's bring this up so that you can see the words real quick while I read them. Okay. So The person writes underneath, Michael Cooper, more symbolism and no tangibles for Black Americans, a group who votes 85%, carried Joe Biden and Harris to the White House, is very disrespectful that President Biden has nothing in store for Black Americans in his first 100 days in the Oval Office. Well, we played that tape for you. He said, I can't do nothing because I'm bound by the Constitution, but he sure does have a lot. He signed 15 on the first day, 10 on the next. We don't know how many he's going to sign today, right? In store for Black Americans in his first 100 days in the Oval Office. Muslims and immigrants are President Biden's top priorities, not the people, i.e. African Americans, I say American blacks, whom he said saved the Democrat Party. Shaking my head. SMH. Shaking my head. Now, no more symbolism. No to symbolism. This guy got totally ignored and he helped save most of the people, which brings us back to a meme that has been posted before, but it posted again, and we should read it again for positive. We have to bring you positive reinforcement, bro. Won't Black voters be furious when I don't do anything for them? Don't do anything for them. President Barack Obama replies, Kamala, I don't do shit for Black people. I didn't do shit for Black people, and they still love me. They still love me. So sad, so sad, but true. So sad, but true. So sad, but true. Okay, so here's one that's humor at the expense of Donald Trump. All's fair. We're fair and balanced here, and this was pretty funny. So it's an editorial cartoon, and let me bring it up smaller. So it's Kamala and Joe Biden outside the White House, right? So they're outside the White House, and it says, after the sage and the Lysol, then you see the editorial picture and you see an exorcist. You see a truck that says exorcist. Then they have a dark figure drawn like the scene from The Exorcist when the priest arrives, right? And it says, White House to be deep clean before transition. And then it says, after the sage and Lysol, Biden looks at Kamala and says about The Exorcist, can't hurt.
Right. That is hilarious.
Yeah. You know, I thought that was, you know, pretty good news. You know, these are the things that are happening in the week, right? Recap in the week. Now, the Demetia Bishop, right? Miss Demetia. And it reads, let me bring it up smaller so y'all can read it. Let me bring it up bigger so I can read it. All right. It reads, on behalf of racial injustice being first of many things the Biden administration should tackle in the first 100 days of the presidency, ending qualified immunity would be a start. Cops should no longer be able to use, quote unquote, I feared for my life. I feared for my life. I mean, I've got the tackle belt with the 17 shooter Glock 9. I've got the stun gun. I've got the taser. I've got the camera. I've got the retractable baton. I've got on body armor. And I feared for my life as a basis for shooting down black men. This is true.
It is true.
This is true, but these are all the demands that should have been demanded for the vote. For the vote. What do you have to say?
Yes, they should have been demanded, and now hindsight being 2020, this is the reason you have to cease to operate out of your emotions, and you have to think about things before you do them. Now, going back to Kamala Harris's ability to be able to ghost a person just standing there, that is to do that in context of that individual that she did, that she appeared to have done that too. That, it's out of order, but it takes, because usually now I'm masterful at that as well. And usually it's when someone, the times that I have used that was in times of a racial situation. When I lived in Boston, Massachusetts, the times when of a racial situation, I was able to ghost people like they didn't even exist because of how they were behaving. So I had to show them what was really going on. So I could ghost them like they wasn't even standing there. Like they never even came up to my counter or whatever. But that's usually a sign of when you're disrespecting someone on purpose. When you're ghosting them on purpose, that's a sign of disrespect. So if that's what she was doing to that person, she was clearly out of line, because even if she's got some kind of twisted thing against black men, that's another thing. If you do have that questions your ability to be able to perform the job objectively, because you're always going to be skewed in your decisions. Case in point, your first people that you hire to be closest to you, your advisor, your senior advisor, and your press secretary are both Indian Americans. Black people, are we still singing? Sister, you've been on my mind. Sister, we're two of a kind. Sister, I'll keep my eyes on you. Sister.
Look, I thought her press secretary was supposed to be Sanders. The woman
But that ain't what it say here.
I guess things change, and then, her press secretary is Indian. You usually hire black people. The only ones we usually don't hire because we want to show that we're multicultural. We usually don't hire our own.
Well, let me check my facts here. Let me check.
Okay. Other people hire their own, right? So she's representing what she likes. Remember, 500,000 Indians are coming from India. It's your sister, though. And then her advisor, the person that's going to advise her, is an Indian, right? How is it that? How's an Indian who hasn't only probably moved around in certain? Let's talk brass tacks here. most Indians move amongst Caucasians. They don't move with black people unless they were underprivileged and they had to live in the black neighborhood. Most of the time they're moving amongst Caucasians. So how could she get a true advising? She would need, truthfully, black people who have been educated, who came from a certain situation, that have walked amongst all groups of people, are the best advisors because they know all worlds. You don't get an advisor just because they're your kind, you think, right? So that's why black people having advisors who are educated and have come from certain situations, that have walked amongst all groups of people, get the best advice. You can't get advice from the best advice from people who have never ventured out of their what they feel racially comfortable with. Only the people who have ventured out from what they feel racially comfortable with, and that's usually American blacks, to advance, can actually be true great advisors. Miss Ash says, I think it runs deeper than this. Look up Kamala and her father. Oh, he's saying she's ghosting black men, American black men, because of her Jamaican father. And then Miss Ash says, hey, Tracy. Then she says, that meme is true on so many levels of Barack. She also says, her mother is Indian. You are right on spot, Tanya, she says. Right? What else you gotta say?
So I was looking it up, and it seems that this same person is her secretary. Simone Sanders was mentioned in a couple of articles, and the reason why I wanted to fact check it is the first article I gave you that from was from August. So a whole lot could have happened between August and right now, but as of now, it looks like the same person is her secretary.
You see, she's getting with the people. She said one thing during the election, just like any politician would. And then she's doing something else. So you're walking around with your Chucks, but please keep walking around with the Chucks and the pearls, because I got some stock in Chuck. I got some stock in Chucks. And so I need you to believe. So that it just goes through. I need you to believe. Go get those pearls. Pledge, aka we need you pink and green fabric. We getting stock, Joanne fabric. But anyway, look.
Salmon pink and apple green.
That's right. Oh man, what is this? Oh man, my phone. Well, I'm telling you. Anyway, people. For those who need to sleep this disappointment off, you need to sleep this disappointment off. You need to go to sleep as asleep as you were when you walked into the ballot booth to cast your vote. You want to go to sleep? Here is an item that will help you go to sleep. Did you know eating just 2 pistachios before bed helps with sleep, as they are the most melatonin-rich food ever recorded? They are the most melatonin-rich food ever recorded. Eating a whole handful of pistachios is like a high dose of melatonin supplement. Get your Z's. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. We tried to tell you, no symbolism. We tried to tell us, and us just wasn't hearing it. And so here we are. You can see what's happening, but most people aren't even watching the news. Now, speaking of people who are waking up from their dream, I don't know what kind of dream, but it's going to turn into a nightmare. People waking up from their dream. People are sheeple. People are sheep. The translation is sheeple people a lot of times. People will follow what they see. So this is recapping what has happened in the week. Maybe you hadn't heard these stories yet, right? The Daily Beast. You know this guy right here. He's been all over the news. He is just the most famous Viking or Viking wannabe of all time so far, with his red, white, and blue and his Viking. And he got to eat organic, healthy food in prison because he was on a hunger strike. And the judge said, sure, he needs it. He needs his food. The Daily Beast, referring to his client as the guy with the horns and the fur, attorney Al Watkins said the rioter, quote unquote, regrets very, very much, quote unquote, that he was tricked by Trump. He was tricked by Trump. That's what they said. Now, even the QAnon shaman disowns Trump. What does he say? Let me bring it down so you can see the words. What does he say that Trump did to him? That he was bamboozled. He was hoodwinked. I was duped. Now, don't hold your breath. They're doing these mea culpas. There's certain things that I don't want you to hold your breath about, right? Because depending on what media you're watching, I keep on telling you, you have to watch Fox, because MSNBC and CNN are not covering what's happening in Denver, Portland, and Seattle. Do you know what's happening in Denver, Portland, and Seattle? I'll give a second. Phone lines open, 213-943-3358. Take your phone calls. I want to talk to some of the Antifa people and some of the people who are pro-Biden supporters and all that. Like, we didn't vote for either one because both were racist. And we're for American black people. Right? And racism can't eliminate racism. Can't erase racism. The only thing that can erase racism is erasing racism. Right? Satan cannot be eliminated by Lucifer because you're basically getting the same demon. Lucifer is a smooth talker, though. Brilliant looking. Right? Satan mangled. Lucifer is able to be a smooth He's able to be a smooth metro man. He's smooth in his language. His whisper is smooth in your ear. And you go there and you vote according to that whisper. Now, do you know what's going on in Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, and Denver? Isn't that Wisconsin? Yeah, Denver, Wisconsin. Is that what that is? I think that is. Yeah, I'm right. Colorado, Denver, Colorado. God, I'm thinking about the other place where the boy shot the two dudes. I'm calling him a boy. He's a man. He would have been a man if he was a black man. In Kenosha, Wisconsin. But anyway, Denver, Colorado. Antifa is going to town destroying shit. The same day that Biden was speaking about unity, later that day out here on the West Coast, in Denver, in Portland, and in Washington, in Seattle, Washington, Antifa went about destroying shit. They went about destroying. In Portland in particular, they went and destroyed the Democratic office building in Portland, and then went over to the ICE building and broke out windows over there at the ICE building. There were arrests, however. They said we gotta finally put this down. Now, so look. What they're waiting on is something so they can put back on the BLM t-shirts. A lot of white people with BLM t-shirts, anarchists talking about death to America and just destroying stuff and being Negro whisperers to the blacks who decide to follow alongside them and get them to do. It's playing videotape. We showed it last year where they were talking and the people got arrested. Blacks got arrested. They're standing there holding the cameras talking about what? What are they saying? He's not allowed to do that. You should push in. And then the black dude pushes in, listening to the white female Negro whisperer. Some people aren't ready for prime time. So, my point. Why we shouldn't hold our breaths. There's certain things that we shouldn't hold our breaths. We wish for the best, but we know the best is not going to happen, right? This guy is going to get off. He might do 6 months because he's doing the mea culpa. Plus he looks like what they want. He looks like Conan the Barbarian, just a thinner version. But he looks like Conan. He looks like a star. He's got that 6-pack, 8-pack ripple. And he's like, why would we send him in to be devastated inside the prison system, right? That's what they're saying. So he's going to get off. Now, the police officer, what's the police officer? I don't usually keep up with the police officer's name. But the police officer that choked George Floyd with his knee using a Israeli police technique taught to him by the Israeli police. What is his name? His trial comes up in March.
I'll let you know in just 1 second.
Okay.
It is
what is it? What's the name? George Floyd.
Now they want to have all the ones listed. Was it? Are you looking for Derek Chauvin?
What's all the names? I think that is it. I don't keep up.
Alexander King or King and Thomas Lane.
No, it's Derek Chauvin, I think. Okay, yeah, Derek Chauvin. So look, don't hold your breath because with this videotape, this Minnesota police officer, in my estimation, is going to get off. Don't hold your breath. Do not act with emotion. Don't get out of hand. Don't get out there and start protesting and walking. Let the Antifa people, the anarchists, and let the other side, the accelerationists, get out there. Blacks need to do their thing and just stay out the way. BLM, the actual BLM, the ones who don't know that they're part of George Soros, but they are, but they're not. They don't know that they are. They should just do press conferences indoors and then disperse and go home. Let the whites who say that they are BLM, let them go out there and do all that smashing and graffiti and all that. Let them do that, right? Because the reason why I say this is don't hold your breath. They're waiting. The anarchists in Colorado, right? In Washington, right? And in Oregon are waiting for there to be a catalyst so they can spread what they're doing in the upper West Coast across down into California, into different cities, and across into different cities. They're waiting. So do not hold your breath, because he's getting off. Don't get upset. A lot of the people who did that at the Capitol, they're gonna get slaps on the wrist. Now, they've got footage of a black man. They said something about he had a fire extinguisher and he was hitting somebody with it. Now, remember they were trying to find the footage because the police officer was hit with a fire extinguisher. Remember that shit? Now, the media didn't equate the two things together, but they said they have footage of this man with a fire extinguisher hitting people. He is going to sink. He's going to say, it's cold in my cell. Like Sean Levert, and they're not going to give him a blanket. They don't even give him a blanket. Here, just sit down and shut up, nigga. Like at the beginning of Public Enemy's Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos. Sit down, nigga. I got a letter from the government the other day. I opened and read it. It said they were suckers. They wanted me for the army or forever, or whatever. Guess me giving a damn, I said never. Here's a land that never gave a damn. Never gave a damn about a brother like me and myself, because they never did. But it came to me, realization came to me, the suckers got authority. Right? So look, you're looking at this. This is what's getting ready to happen. They're setting this up. Biden is in office. Biden is not saying anything about the anarchists, but he's saying something about the accelerationists. He said Antifa is nothing but an idea. That's right. Marxism and anarchy is an idea. But what do anarchists want? They want to collapse the state. And we keep on telling you. There were people who said that what happened at the Capitol, that what they're doing out there in upper West Coast in the United States dulls in comparison to what was happening at the Capitol. No, it doesn't, because there was some Antifa at the Capitol, right? It doesn't dull in comparison, because accelerationists that rushed into the Capitol, who were using white bodies like the white Negro whisperers use black bodies to move, are about the collapse of the state to create a neo-Nazi state. Research. The anarchists want the state, want to be free of the state. They want the state to fall also, so that anything goes. I don't want authority over me. I don't want police over me. I want anything goes in this society. But it won't be a society. It will be anarchy. So the best thing black people should do is do that sage, classic wisdom. I'm out the way. I'm sitting this one out. I'm going to be out the way. I'm over here just watching this unfold. Other than that, most of the ones from the summer, most of the ones that had harsh sentences were the ones who were American black. They got harsh sentences. Meaning when they get out, they're going to have trouble finding jobs. Right? What happened to the 7 that came from Soho? Remember them 7 we talked about them in nauseam, remember? What happened to them? How come they haven't been brought up on trial yet? Because they were rich. And they just got slapped on. Oh, they were just being defiant. They're probably not coming up on trial anytime soon. They did all that damage. They destroyed everything. And they're not going to come up on any damage. So don't wait. Don't waste your breath. Don't hold your breath. You'll choke. Don't hold your breath on the Derek cop that strangled George Floyd to be found guilty? He won't. And that will be the spark that kicks off the summer and the anarchists being able to again destroy shit and battle it out for the anarchists to see who can collapse the state the fastest. Did you find anything on those 7? Did they say anything about the 7? Did they say that the 7 have been prosecuted to the letter of the law, the way that American blacks would be prosecuted to the letter of the law, or there's no story? It's been buried. It went away.
There is no story. There is no story. It's as if it never existed while they were all going around with their money flying around and taking flights and having temper tantrums and letting mommy and daddy know, look, we were on TV. Look, that was me throwing that torch. That was me throwing that one, see? And so that the parents would be pissed off. You know, they threw their temper tantrum. Now they're back. Lars, I know Lars is in the boardroom. I know Lars is with Dad's company. That one with that red hair. I know that. I know right now Lars is Daddy is giving Lars a position in the company. Lars is doing good. He's driving his BMW, and that's all behind him now. And when someone says anything, that's exactly what Lars is going to say. That was a time in my life. It was unfortunate. It's all behind me now.
Now remember, Lars and all of them around 22 to 27, and you know what they say, kids will be kids. Kids will be kids. But a 14-year-old young black, American black man, boy, he's really a man, isn't he? 14.
Well,
but
now, wait a minute. 3/5 though, right?
Kids will be kids, 22 to 27, out there destroying shit.
Like that girl in the situation with the 14-year-old black boy and her cell phone, saying that he took her cell phone. And when she did that interview with Gayle King, she says, well, I'm a 22-year-old girl with her daddy cap on. I'm a 22-year-old girl. And so you got good sense enough to give an explanation about your youth, and you try to charge it to your youth when you look like you were on somebody's casting couch yesterday.
Kids will be kids. That's why we have to stop telling our kids, grow up, be men, be a man. Be like, he's just a kid. You know, it's hard for you to say boy because, boy has been used against us so harshly. But you can say, he's just a kid. He's a kid. And then they say, he's a male goat. And you say, no, he's a child. He's just a child. Children will be children. All right, here we go. Don't be impressed by money, followers, degrees, and titles. Be impressed by kindness, integrity, humility, and generosity. Don't be impressed by money, followers, degrees, and titles. Be impressed by kindness, integrity, humility, and generosity. I would take the degrees out because the person had to go to a certain amount of schooling to get those degrees, and that's why people think that they're on the same level as Martin Luther King, and they didn't have half of the schooling, even though it would take longer than it took for him because he was damn near a genius, but they didn't even take any of the schooling, any half of the schooling that he took to be who he was, okay? So the degrees is a little hater move there. I would move that out. Now, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. You go to the store and you go to the meat section and look what they got. What the heck? They got Lunchables for men. They got Lunchables for men. Look at that. They got the Budweiser. They got a potato and a steak. You put that on the grill. You got your 2 Budweisers or your Bud Light, and they got it all packaged up for you. Baked potato. Oh man, right there on the grill. 4th of July is coming. Because you know, because that's what's he's gonna get out just in time. The Viking, he's gonna say, for just this time, I'm going to eat meat like my ancestors. Yeah. Give me the Bud Light. Yeah. So don't sleep, people. Don't sleep. Oh, wow. Anyway. Ooh. All right. So this is a message for those who are still blessed to have. I dream of mother with the silvery hair. I always dream of mother with the silvery hair. You know, I used to sing that to my mother. He said, you ain't gonna see no goddamn silvery hair on here.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Our mother, she was very much with the time. She kept coloring her hair. She, it wasn't you're not seeing no gray. She taking care of all of that. And she used to, for a while my dad was still wearing hair, because my father had a real nice, soft, cottony feeling braid of hair, real nice braid of hair. And before he went bald, she said every 2 weeks he'd be wearing his hair. She's like, come here, let me put this rinse in your hair. And she said she was like, no, I'm not gonna be with no old gray amen. Come here, let me come here. She had that black rinse. And come here, let me put this rinse in your hair. It wouldn't take but about maybe 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes, or 15 minutes every 2 weeks, we had that black rinse going in the hair. She wasn't having it.
So it wasn't silvery hair. It was, I dream of mother with the auburn hair. I always dream of mother with the auburn hair. Just because she's your mom, bring it up closer, and she's going to love you forever no matter what. You can't treat her just any old way and think it doesn't matter. Don't treat the person who loves you the most the worst. Don't take her for granted. Now here's 2 parts in the paragraph that are highlighted. She may not let you see it, but your shortness, impatience, and harsh words make her steal away to a quiet place and cry. Her heart hurts to understand why you seem angry with her. She will not always agree with you, but she will always love you. Next highlighted part. And it doesn't matter how old you are or how old she is. Treasure your mom. You'll never have another one. Just because she's your mom. What do you have to say to that?
And understand that the decisions that parents make, a lot of times, I mean, it's not they were put in, not necessarily control, but they were given your rearage. Your rearage was a responsibility that was given to them by God. And so because they are the ones that have the knowledge that are ahead of yours, it's not up for them. They ain't got to come get your permission to tell you what to do. They ain't got to, some decisions is they have to make the decision and they can't explain all why to you, why they're doing it, because you may take that and take it outside of where it needs to be. And she's been exercising wisdom and keeping certain things from you while she's making the decision. And a lot of that I had to learn for myself. And now I go back, and I know she can't hear me, but I do acknowledge out loud that I have now gained the lesson that it was that she was trying to get me that I didn't get at the time she was trying to give it to me. I got it now, but you know, the scripture says, there's a scripture that says the way of the transgressor is hard. And a lot of times you go through unnecessary things in life when you don't listen. So if your parents are put here for your rearage, listen, it has nothing to do with what you know about them. They had to pass their test and go through their things as well, but that don't have nothing to do with you. They still tasked with raising you. And so they have what it takes to raise you because God gave that to them, right? And so I go back, I say, Ma, I got it. You'll be happy to know I got it. And, you know, I'll say things like that. But now D was not, he wasn't, I was a hard head. He wasn't, he was more, he was, see, I think that he learned a lot from my bad examples. He was looking at me. He was like, no, I don't want no part of that. But I wasn't a bad, lawless person, but I was a person that was hard-headed and always was pushing against the grain and trying to do things my own way. And my mother looked at me one day and she wore bifocals. So she had the extra in her glasses and her eyes were already big and pretty. But she would look at me through them glasses. And one day she sat across from the table. And this is where I get that from, looking people straight in the eye between her and my dad. She looked at me through them glasses and she said, you know, you the type that's going to have to buy your sense. And it's going to be very costly to you. But she was right. She was right because I was hard-headed. So, but I appreciate my mother when I look at what all goes on with people now and how people's lives came out when I hear the horror stories and stuff like that. And I'm back there complaining and she wouldn't let me do nothing. But we were never molested. Nobody even had the opportunity to touch us. She didn't care how much I screamed and cried. She didn't care. All my cousins would be going to do something. They all be going skating, all going to the movies. I can't go. Well, why? Everybody going. You don't let me do nothing. She was like, because their parents do things I don't do. And they allow their kids to do things I don't allow you to do. So you're not going. And she didn't care how I felt about it. But guess what? I don't have no testimonies that haven't been diddled and touched or anything like that. I don't have none of that. I don't have it.
That's right. No diddle, fizzle frazzle. You know what I mean? By the time I came up, I wasn't caring about trying. My cousins was all older. I didn't care about. I made my own family. You know what? I owned a store for 15 years, brick and mortar. And the people who were my family were the ones who came in and spent money with me. If I didn't see you, you're not my family. If you didn't spend money with me, you're not my family. You didn't help me make bread, or you spent money with me. You're not my family. You know what I mean? So let's keep moving on. Okay. So this person writes, it's a joyful, seems like it would be around a Christmas scene, but the person writes, so which one of those executive orders were about helping quote unquote black people? Hashtag straight like that. So, which one of those executive orders were about helping quote unquote black people? Hashtag straight like that. Now, there's been a steady diet of Biden reversing things that Trump did. And it's not going to help America. See, you could say Trump was a racist. You could say all that. But did he ever do anything racist to you? I mean, I'm just saying, we have to be nuanced, because when you're looking at racist versus racist, you say, did this man ever do anything to me? But this man over here did do something to me, but I'm going to vote for him anyway, because I'm under the misled impression that he's going to correct this wrong without me even asking him to correct this wrong. He's got a good heart because he's blonde and he's white and he's got blue-green eyes. Donald Trump is dirty blonde and his eyes are a little darker and he looks like a devil, huh? Well, Satan or Lucifer, same demon. Can't get rid of Satan with Lucifer. Can't get rid of racism with... You can't get rid of white supremacy with racism. Been a steady diet of reversing things that Trump did. Let's look at what Trump did. Let's talk about what Trump did, because you have to be able to have nuance. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's very important to have at least an associate's degree. I'm talking about in something that really made you have to think. Writing, like taking a class of English or political science. Hopefully you would go 4 years for that, but something to make you have nuance and be able to think these things out, because I sit and talk to people and I think that it has to do with the education level. It really does. When my sister and I came through Cleveland, I was on the tail end. They busted. My sister didn't get bused. I got busted. We were the part of Generation X that got bused. We were the experiment. The ones born in 1970, 71, 72, 73. We were the experiment. We got experimented upon. But in between that time, my mother was finding schools. She found magnet schools. If you're going to get bused, you're going to get bused over to this magnet school. We're going to have you test into these. We're going to take your scores and want to fight for you to get into these schools. And that's what she did. So I got the best that the public school could offer between magnet, and then after I came from out of magnet, I went to major work at Whitney M. Young. It was junior high school, now it's a middle school, right? So that was major work that led you to college preparatory. So my mother made sure, and then from my test scores from Whitney Young, I was able to just take the test scores and get into Trinity without testing in because of my test scores. So my mother went from getting the best that she could get from elementary school to junior high school to then going to parochial school and paying for that education. Right? Same thing with my sister. Went through, found her the best in elementary, right? Because she came through, they hadn't started busing yet. So she got through without busing at elementary school. The junior high school, she put her in parochial school. High school, she went to parochial school halfway, then went to Jane Addams to learn a trade, banking and finance. You see, my mother was on it. You see what I'm saying? So it's a certain amount of education that's necessary, and then after that, college comes and you do what you do in college, right? So it's a certain amount of education. You can get it if you apply yourself, or if you have a parent that's pushing to get you the best education that tax dollars pays for, which is money can buy, and or what you're going to pay from out of pocket to go to a parochial school. My mother did that for both of us, right? Right? My mother and father. My father brought the money home. My mother did what was necessary to keep the household and make sure that her kids had what they needed. Not so much what we wanted, but what we
Right.
needed to succeed, right? So when I look and I talk to people, not being able to look at the nuances has to do with your formal education. We're talking about your formative years, K through 12. Not being able to look at nuances, because by the time you get to college is a different animal. You make your own schedule. You choose what classes you're going to take, what classes you're not going to take. You know, it's a different animal. K through 12 is a certain rigor. You got to get up, be at a certain time. You got to do this. You got to get on the bus early in the morning. Get over here. You got to do this, right? So people who can't read nuance, I look at their K through 12 and I say something was amiss. Something was awry. Something was not taught to them. Every school that I went to until I got to Catholic school, which was predominantly Caucasian, Polish in particular, we were taught black pride. So when I got to high school and I saw that the whites were acting crazy, I say something's wrong. And then I was introduced to a videotape by a woman at the Warrensville Heights Library who was in there, and I was doing a report. And all my reports had to do with blackness, right? And she said, have you ever heard of Louis Farrakhan? Now everybody heard of Malcolm X and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Louis Farrakhan, no. So I picked up the tape, I go pop it in, and everything I'm thinking about what's happening at the high school, he's talking about it on the tape. He's breaking it down. But I digress from that. We were taught black pride. So when I sit up there and I listen, and these are people who were in the civil rights movement. I was privy to have teachers that had been in the civil rights time who had actually done some marching. Because there were a lot of people who didn't, right? Who just profited. By the time, so black pride. So when they started talking about Donald Trump being a racist, all white people are racist. They're either prejudiced, bigoted, racist, or white supremacist. And then the white supremacist breaks off into all different subgroups, Nazis, all of them are racist. So if you're going to say, I'm going to eliminate racism by voting for a man who wrote legislation that's still in the books that destroyed, that decimated Generation X, Gen X talking now, the decimated Generation X, and you're part of Generation X, there's something wrong with your K through 12 because you weren't taught to think in nuance and you weren't taught to think black pride. Because you would say, I'll stick with this one because that one actually damaged me. Actually destroyed my neighborhoods and turned them into hoods. Why Ronald Reagan funding a war to try to get to the Nicaraguan president, and now all the niggas from the Nicaragua are trying to hit the border. See how all this shit is connected? And those niggas from Nicaragua will come in and treat you like a nigger. This is how connected all this is as they're trying to clip me.
Right.
Right? This is how connected all of this is. And if you don't have the nuance, if you didn't have the nuance to think it out, I'm going to stick with the racist one because at least he's been around black people because he was in the entertainment hotel business. And he knew the work ethic of each group of people because he is a boss. He is a business person. So I went kind of around the bush to bring this here. The nuance wasn't there, but here's something that you're going to find out real quick. Biden is a politician, not a businessman. The decisions he's making to reverse the Keystone Pipeline. Keystone Pipeline, 10,000 jobs. That's people. He didn't say, okay, before we reverse this, before we shut this down, let's get the solar energy panels in place so that we can train those 10,000 people in those solar jobs, and let's get or the wind power, and let's get that in place before we cut the Keystone Pipeline. That's a businessman. That's a business mind, not a politician. Politicians are just people who were untalented and couldn't do anything else. That's what a politician is, which means that they don't have all of the smarts that they need. Sorry, politicians. 213-943-3358. Prove me wrong. They're cutting that over there in Canada. Canada, it was 1,000 jobs on their part of the pipeline because it was cutting through the heartland where the wheat and all the bread, all the wheat and everything is grown for the bread, cutting through the heartland to get down to the Gulf, right? 1,000 jobs. They're laying off 1,000 people automatically because it's over. 10,000 people on our side. Going back into the Paris Climate Accord. China is not even seen as a developing country, which means that they're not under the restrictions. So they're smogging it out, and then they go over to Africa for a fucking vacation, taking the land away from the Africans. Where are my people talking about going back to Africa? 213-943-3358. Don't come calling up at the end of the show. You got to answer some questions for me. America is charged with being with having to take the brunt of that. Gas prices are going up. We were energy dependent before Biden started signing these executive orders. Now we're going to be dependent on Saudi oil again. Whereas Trump stumped Saudi and Russia and made them come to heel and made America be on top with the Keystone Pipeline. Stupid, no business mind. Politicians are non-talented people who couldn't do anything else. They had a gift of gab, that was it. But no real strict training in anything. You're a lawyer. A lawyer in what? Anybody can be a lawyer who wanted to put those years in to be a lawyer, and then after you're a lawyer, you don't have any talent in anything else, so you go into politics. Let's see what else. So you got the Keystone Pipeline. You got the Keystone Pipeline, right? You got the Climate Accords. Going back at that. Going back into WHO, World Health Organization. The World Health Organization didn't even let people know, didn't even let America know that China had this problem. They were on China's side, and China wasn't putting in the most money. It was the United States. He signs an executive order to join WHO again, which means that America is out of $400 million. That's more money going out. Then you got the immigrants coming in. Where is the money? 213-943-3358. It's making America a poor nation. Poor decision making. It's poor decision making from people who are idealistic, and the only thing they have on their mind is just being someone who has ideals. Or some of the people who are politicians didn't even have any education. the AOC, she was just a waitress. And you're listening to her. No nuance. America will fall into nothing. And then these people will be like, well, we didn't do anything. We didn't do it. We didn't do anything. Everything that he's doing to reverse hurts America. And you voted for him. And we were telling you, it doesn't make any sense. When those people come across the border, and they're coming into your neighborhoods and they're looking at you and they're using whatever term they use that's like Kappa or nigger, and they put you and they're speaking in the language and they say negro and then they talking that shit, you'll know then, because your kids have to deal with them. But we tried to tell you, we tried to let you know, this is what we're up against, right? This is what we're up against. As an American, I'm an American black man. I'm not African from Africa. I look way better than the Africans from Africa, just off the rip. I've seen a lot of them, and I've said none of them measure up to me. Because I'm an American black. I'm the hard-walking, hard-talking, the one whose culture is across the globe, the culture that is American culture. There's no other group of blacks that measure up. They may have their little cultural thing. Jamaicans got Bob. They got other patois-speaking Jamaican acts, but they don't measure up, not to the American black. But the American black is so open to accept different things and like different things. And that's where our problem is. We have to hold back and say, black is not all black. Prove to me that you want to be down with me. Prove to me that you want to be down with me by being on my program. So just look, go through, watch, listen to the various, go back and read the various executive orders that he signed, which brings us to executive order about criminal justice. Is he reversing what Trump did? Like he's reversing everything else? Are we going to see people go back into prison? What you got to say?
You know, I've been looking up a couple of things since you've been speaking here. First, I have all of the executive orders pulled up here up until today from the 20th. Boy, has he been signing his butt off. And it's ridiculous. But anyway, I looked up some other things about him, just thinking, you know, taking in everything you had to say about education, your K through 12 and all that different stuff. And I said, well, what was Joe Biden's grade point average in college? Like, what was his GPA? Well, he ended with a 1.9. 1.9? 2 points is what, a D? Because three is a B. 3 is a B. And then 4 point is an A, and everything else is, so a 1.9 is just under a C average. Just under. And so, but he was a star athlete though. He was a football player. He was a jock. But it explains a lot. It explains the way he comes across. It explains a lot there. And people, let's look at these orders. So what's today, the 22nd? So today, he reverses the collective bargaining power and worker protections for federal workers and lays the foundation for a $15 minimum wage. So that is going to kill small businesses. Most of ours fall in that category, small business. We're not in big business, right? So let's see. he left some of them intact, but then when we get down here to the 20th, he overturns concerning the coronavirus, stops the United States withdrawal from the World Health Organization. We talked about that. He, concerning the environment, overturns and rejoins the Paris Climate. We talked about that. He cancels the Keystone. We talked about that. Equity. He rescinds the Trump administration's 1776 commission, directs agencies to review their actions to ensure racial equity. Not quite sure what that means. For census, he requires non-citizens to be included in the census and apportionment of congressional representatives. So he overturned and did that. Now, you know who that includes, right? That's going to include all your immigrants. So they get to recount and include them. What else did he do? He reverses the Trump administration's restrictions on U.S. entry for passport holders from 7 Muslim majority countries. Well, let's get ready for more wars and stuff. And some people will be upset. Well, that's profiling. Well, all we can do is go by what we've seen. We haven't been seeing any of all these, kind of bombings and stuff. We hadn't been seeing that in 4 years. I mean, what you want us to say? He undoes Trump's expansion of the immigration enforcement within the United States. He halts construction of the border by terminating the national emergency declaration used to fund it. So what that means? That means the money got to come from another pool. Are you okay with giving up your reparations? Are you okay with that? And lastly, on the 20th, he directs the OMB director to develop recommendations to modernize regulatory review and undoes Trump's regulatory approval process as far as regulations.
So you see, they're gonna put all the regulations back in, right? And the regulations cuts down on jobs. Now they cut unnecessary because it was regulations on top of regulations, regulations on top of regulations. He cut about the Muslims. Now, a lot of American black people want to be everything else except for what and who we are. Like, what and who we are is enough. Our movement is the one that went across the globe that influenced Nelson Mandela and other people to be free. Our movement with Martin Luther King did that. All us who were stolen away, some of us are already here, intermingled all together with the 388,000 that actually landed on the shores. It was part of the transatlantic slave trade. But people who were basically, the story is, being stole away, did this. Made a place that was supposed to be a white ethno state have to recognize that it was truly a multicultural society. American black people did that. Who and what we are is enough. People get confused, so they say, wait a minute, I'm a Sunni Muslim, I'm a this, I'm a that. No, you're American black who chooses to practice Islam. I say, I'm a Christian, so I can know you're an American black that chooses to practice Christianity. Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, I'm an African, I'm going to go back. No, because you've never seen Africa and you've never seen rolling outages ever in your life, or mudslides, or shit in mud from unpaved roads, unless you were somewhere deep back in Mississippi and they didn't let you know that slavery was over until the 1970s. You were still sharecropper. So please, you are an American black. So don't get confused. So him cutting back, there will be people, ask the dudes in New Jersey. Was it New Jersey or New York? When the caliphate was going on, the ISIS was going on, right? They would use ISIS, but ISIS was going on, and they got caught up in it, and they put them under the jail for life. Ask them if they still believe that they're Muslim, or are they American black the way they were treated. When all this comes back and they start about, I'm an American black man, which makes me an American citizen of the Corporation of the United States of America. I don't want to be collateral damage in somebody's jihad that comes from another country that's talking about this is great white Satan. And now I'm trying to build to make it my country. 'Tis of the sweet land of liberty, of thee we sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the black man's cry. From every mountainside, let black woman free liberty ring. I want this to be my country. This is our country. We built it. We don't have time for people coming in and blowing it up, talking about this great white Satan. Who are you? Are you an American black, or are you a Muslim? Well, go there. You're African. Go there. And like Cube said back then, when being pro-black and African and the African movement was together, those who say they too black, put them overseas, they'll be begging to come back. And that's what'll happen. You're no more African when you were born here in America. You're no more Muslim from a Muslim country when you were born here. The country where everybody wants to be except for you. And if you don't want to be here, you should leave. 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. Biden, you can't expel racism by electing a racist. Anyone who is talking that must be immigrant black that don't know any better, or they're following the immigrant blacks that don't know any better. You can't expel Satan by bringing in Lucifer. It's the same demon. We're not up here every day, 5 days a week, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, talking this so that we have to wait 50 more years. People are still talking the same shit. If you are not clear about who you are as a black person in this country, that your people were here, and you're not clear that you are American black or FBA or ADOS, move and go where you think that you belong and leave us so we can expand and build upon this with one mind. Because this is our country. We built this boy. And if you believe you something else, and you're bleeding heart because Trump cut off from all the Muslim countries that you never saw, you never walked in Mecca, you never walked. Even Louis Farrakhan, who is a Muslim, knows the language backwards and forwards, Arabic, knows that he's an American black man. He fights for American black issues, to clean the American black man up and the American black woman up so that they can take their rightful place. What is this all about? Y'all niggas better wake up. In closing, y'all laughed at this dude, and Biden made him one of the first casualties. Usually, people who are surgeon generals usually go from administration to administration to administration, but not this time. First person to get fired, last to get hired, first to get fired by the Biden administration, a black man. They're definitely keeping their quote-unquote war on black men, unquote, promise. Sad. So much for unity. Thank you for your dedicated service, Surgeon General Adams. This is where we leave it. This is where we leave it today. You see? What it all comes back to. Y'all better get your minds right. You better get your minds right. That's right, Tracy Latrice. Thanks. She's a bartender, the A whatever her name is. And then Miss Ash says, wow. So you figure out what's on your mind. Get your mind right. What did Master P say in one of his classics? He said, bitch, get your mind right. Skullduggery. Bitch, get your mind right. Get your mind right. Who are you? Nuance. You got to be able to think nuance. We were taught black pride, which meant they taught us outside of what the curriculum was, taught us about black people. If you don't know about black people and our contribution here, actually everything that is of convenience, we created. The ice box, the stoplight, the fountain pen apparatus, the tone arm apparatus, the filament to keep Edison's light on, Lewis Latimer, go through, get some pride. Everything that makes America convenient today, we made it. We made it. Some of them stole it because we weren't allowed to have patents. But when we had patents and so many inventions, the simple little game, a simple little super soaker for when you're outside in the summertime. Black man. Just the simplest things to the hardest things. The futon, black woman. Come on now. Have some black pride and know what you are and say, I don't need to be anything else. I don't need to be a Muslim, a Christian, a Jewish. I don't need to be none of that. I don't need to be African. I don't have to act like I'm African. I don't have to be dancing. They dance like me when you come here. You walk like me when you come here. You dress like me when you come here. I don't dress like you. Who are you? You're running from your country. We stayed in the country that we were stole and made it multicultural. Know who you are. Get your mind right. That's it, people. This has been Freakin Friday. You know, every time I get like that, you know it's Gen X talking now. Generation X talking now, taking our rightful place. All the other generations got to hold up. We're going to get selfish like the generations that came before us because we seem to know those who went through the black pride. Even though they were busting us, we were still through black pride and still with black pride and the lessons to know the nuance. Again, in closing, you can't replace Satan with Lucifer. Same demon. Can't replace a white supremacist with a racist. What type of racist is he? Which is a white supremacist? What kind is he? So people, this has been Freakin Friday. Hashtag ObservationsTFR episode 82. Smash the like button. Smash the share button. Tag 5 people in this broadcast so when it replays, people can watch it. Like, share, follow, subscribe where you're watching us, right? We appreciate you. We appreciate coming on. And don't forget, Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern is hashtag TFR Podcast Live, the film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast. Tune in on Sunday. We bring it like this and we bring reviews. that save you pocket revenue. Listen, this has been a robust show. We brought information. We appreciate you tuning in with us. Spread the word that we're on Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. It's hashtag ObservationsTFR. We will see you again on Monday. Until then, we will see you again on Monday. Don't forget, YouFoundTheSpot.net.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made the curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart.
Observations TFR, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.